At least 54 people have died in a horrific accident in southern Mexico where a truck carrying migrants flipped over. Authorities said more than 100 people were crammed into the vehicle on Thursday when it crashed on a sharp curve. Video footage showed the trailer on its side on a highway, with injured people splayed out on tarps on the ground. A woman held a child wailing in her lap. Both were covered in blood. Several dozen people were injured and taken to hospitals in Chiapas, which borders Guatemala.
We are deeply concerned by the reports of the horrific killings of 11 people in Salangi Township in northwest Sangyang region in Myanmar, who were reportedly shot and burnt by military on Tuesday morning in an apparent retaliation for recent militia attacks.
After President Biden spoke to his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin over the escalating conflict in Ukraine, there seems to be no change to the status quo. Instead, the crisis seems to have only escalated. While on one hand, President Biden is pushing for diplomacy, Russia has upped its hostile rhetoric against Kyiv. In the latest, President Biden spoke with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky for an hour and a half and reaffirmed his commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Biden also promised U.S. help in case Moscow attacked Ukraine during his call with the Ukrainian president. Biden also held a separate call with leaders of NATO members of Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Romania and Slovakia.
Tonight, Florida police say they stopped this student, 19-year-old John Higgins, who they say wanted to carry out another Columbine massacre.
We've had several mass shootings throughout the years in our country, but he specifically referenced Columbine.
The chief of Daytona Beach PD says they caught Higgins at his apartment with a backpack containing this high-powered collapsible rifle and hundreds of rounds of ammunition that he allegedly planned to use to attack students on the campus of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University on the final day of school before winter break.
This was all a part of the plan because today the campus will be packed because everybody has to be there to take their final exam.
Police saying they acted on a tip from two students worried about Snapchat group messages they received.
The parents of two sisters who survived the recent shooting rampage at Oxford High School in Michigan say they are seeking $100 million in damages in a pair of lawsuits Thursday, asserting that the rampage was entirely preventable. 4 students were killed in the November 30th shooting by the accused gunman, 15-year-old Ethan Crumbley. He's being held without bail after being charged as an adult.
We're going to hold people responsible for betraying the trust we put in them to protect our children.
Attorney Jeffrey Feiger appeared Thursday with Jeffrey and Brandy Franz, parents of Riley Franz, who was shot in the neck while her sister Bella was next to her at the time.
A wreath-laying ceremony by government leaders in the southern state of Tamil Nadu for Bipin Rawat, his wife, and 11 others killed on Wednesday. Their remains were then sent to New Delhi for funeral services. Also in the capital, members of parliament observed 2 minutes of silence. Rawat was flying from an Indian Air Force base in Sulu to a defense college less than half an hour away when the helicopter came down. Rescuers managed to save some occupants from the burning wreckage and take them to a nearby hospital, but only one person survived. The defense minister said the crash investigation has already begun, with the helicopter's flight data and cockpit voice recorders recovered on Thursday.
France's European Affairs Minister says he's eyeing a deadline for a resolution on a spat between France and Britain over the handling of fishing licences in the wake of Brexit. It comes as Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin has called on the UK to open a legal process for migrants to enter Britain legitimately.
Post-Brexit fishing row that has pushed relations between Paris and London to breaking point is escalating, with France threatening legal action against the United Kingdom. The European Commission has said the dispute over post-Brexit fishing licenses must be settled by December 10. But the Downing Street said on Thursday that it does not recognise this deadline.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has announced the birth of a baby girl. However, celebrations might be short-lived as the government is in hot water after a series of political scandals. Britain's electoral watchdog has fined the Conservative Party for failing to keep a proper record of a large donation used to refurbish Johnson's official residence. More than €100,000 was contributed by a wealthy Conservative. However, the leader denies knowing the source of the money. This latest charge accompanies a government probe into a number of lockdown-breaching Christmas parties that allegedly took place at 10 Downing Street last December. In addition, there are fresh concerns that the government's apparent disrespect for COVID measures will undermine the public's support for the latest restrictions.
The London court has ruled that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange can be extradited to the United States. The 50-year-old could now face trial in the US for publishing classified military documents about the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Nadim Baba is joining me now from live outside the court in London. What's been happening inside the court?
Well, Rob, the decision has just come and Mr. Assange's supporters here are being briefed. I've heard a cry of a disgrace because lawyers for the United States have won their appeal against the decision early this year that he shouldn't be extradited to the United States. Now, the two judges here, have considered arguments by lawyers for the US and Julian Assange made in October. The US was saying that basically the decision not to extradite him was based solely on his mental health and the potential risks of suicide.